Hello everyone, this is part 3 video on past year NEET questions from the topic D and F block elements. We will start with the first question. This is the question that has come in the year 2013 paper. Which of the following lanthanide ions is diamagnetic? See, first of all, what do you mean by diamagnetic? Diamagnetic means when the number of unpaired electrons is 0. So when an ion or a species has no unpaired electrons, then that is going to be having what? Diamagnetic properties. So here we are having, if you look at the four options, right? What are these four options? These are the divalent ions: europium 2+, ytterbium 2+, cerium 2+, and samarium 2+. All are the 4F series lanthanoids. Now if you look at these lanthanoids, starting from cerium, because cerium is the first lanthanoid element, right? So the electronic arrangement will be what? So the cerium will have 4f1, 5d1, 6s2. From then onwards, we will keep adding one electron into the F subshell. So for the next element, praseodymium, it will be what? We have to add one electron. But the 5d electron will be shifted to 4f in most of the elements because of stability. Only in cerium, gadolinium and lutetium. Only in these elements you will still have the 5d electron. Otherwise the 5d electron will be given to 4f level. So if you look at cerium, so cerium is the first element. What is the arrangement? 4f1, 5d1, 6s2. 2+ means always the electrons will be removed from the outermost shell in that order. So if you look at what will be the electronic arrangement of these ions, so we will just go as per the order. So cerium, what is cerium? 4f1, 5d1, 6s2. If you remove 2 electrons means what is it? 4f1, 5d1. We can see that this will have unpaired electrons. So there will be 7f orbitals. In that 7f orbitals, right, only one electron is kept. Similarly 5d orbitals are there, only one is kept, means this has unpaired electrons. So this cannot be diamagnetic. Then look at the samarium 2+. So samarium is what? 4f6, 6s2. So 2+ means we have to remove the 2 electrons, means it is 4f6. This also will have unpaired electrons. Europium 2+. Europium is what? 4f7, 6s2. Remove 2 electrons, 4f7. This also will have unpaired electrons, means these two also cannot be diamagnetic. Ytterbium 2+, right? So ytterbium 2+ is what? 4f14, 6s2. Remove 2 electrons, it is 4f14. So 4f14 means what? The 7 f orbitals will be completely filled, because what is the capacity? So 7 orbitals are there. 7 into 2 is what? 14, means that is completely filled. Already the inner arrangement is what? Xenon, completely paired up. So the Yb2+ will have no unpaired electrons, means what? This is going to be diamagnetic in terms of the characteristics. So what is the correct answer for this? It is of course option B. Next we look at another question that has come in the same year, NEET 2013. Identify the correct order of solubility in aqueous medium. So if you look at what are these sulfides, so what is given to us is the sulfides. Okay, so the sulfides of sodium, copper and zinc. See, alkali metal salts, right, they will be more soluble. So in aqueous solution they will be more soluble. The transition metal salts are what? They will be sparingly soluble. So in ionic equilibrium also, when we talk about the solubility, right, generally we will be referring to what? The salts of copper, the salts of silver, etc. So the D block element, they will be what? The transition metals, their salts will be sparingly soluble. Zinc will have 3d10 outer arrangement, 3d10 4s2. So it will not form many oxidation state like the transition metals. It will only form one oxidation state, which is zinc 2+. So that way zinc will have more of its characteristics similar to that of the alkaline earth metals, the second group elements like calcium, etc., than the transition metals. So zinc will not be in fact categorized as a transition metal itself. So if you look at the solubility rate, alkali metals will be more soluble than alkaline earth metals. So the correct order will be what? The sodium sulfide will be more soluble than zinc than the copper sulfide. So copper sulfide transition metal salts will be what? Generally less soluble. Next we have a question that has come in the Karnataka paper 2013. Scandium with atomic number 21 is a transition element, but zinc atomic number 30 is not. So if you look at the previous we were discussing about it, right? So zinc, what will be the arrangement of zinc? The arrangement of zinc will be argon 3d10 4s2. Scandium is what? Argon 3d1 4s2. So scandium is the first element of the 3d series. So scandium will have partially filled d orbitals, and the partially filled d orbitals is the characteristic of all the transition metals, whereas zinc has got completely filled. The 3d level is completely filled. That is the reason why zinc will not have properties similar to that of the transition metals, and zinc standard will show only one oxidation state, which is zinc 2+. So the correct reason why we don't categorize zinc as a transition element is because in scandium we have 3d orbitals which are partially filled. Not only scandium, but in case of other, even if you look at titanium, right? So what will be titanium? That is the next element. It will be what? 3d2 4s2. Then vanadium. Vanadium is what? Argon 3d3 4s2. So all these transition elements, they will have partially filled d subshell or d orbitals, whereas zinc has got them completely filled, 3d10. So the correct answer for this is option B. If you look at the other options, right? So what is the option A saying? Option A is saying that both scandium 3+ and zinc 2+ ions are colorless and form white compounds. So this is not attributing why we don't categorize zinc as a non-transition element. If you look at option C, it is saying what? The last electron is assumed to be added to the 4s level of zinc. No, in case of zinc also, if you look at it, right, after argon, what are these elements that will come? We'll have potassium and calcium. Okay, so potassium is what? Argon 4s1. Calcium is what? Argon 4s2. After filling 4s level only, we will start filling electrons into 3d. Okay, so this is also not correct. Then both scandium and zinc do not exhibit variable oxidation states. No, this is also not the reason. So when we look at why we classify the elements like zinc, vanadium, scandium, vanadium, titanium, iron, cobalt, all of them will categorize them as the transition elements because they have partially filled d orbitals. Next we have a question on the alloys. So questions on alloys, right, we can look at it in this topic as well as in the metallurgy topic. So this is the question that has come in the 2012 paper. Identify the alloy containing a non-metal as constituent. So if you look at the alloys, right, so what are the alloys given to us? So in fact, these kind of questions will be pretty straightforward. So quite often we do get questions on the alloys. So what we need to understand is, we need to understand what is the composition of the alloys and what are the alloys of the common metals, like alloys of zinc, alloys of copper. So these things, alloys of aluminum, like that also we have to remember. Two ways of remembering: common alloys and their composition, and second method of remembering is what? Common elements and their alloys. So if you look at what are these alloys given to us, both bell metal and bronze, right? So they mainly contain what? Copper and tin. In bell metal we have tin composition around 20%. In bronze it will be what? Around 12 to 12.5%. So this is what is the composition. So they mainly contain only what? Metals. Whereas invar is a variety of steel. So invar is a variety of steel. So what it contains? It mainly contains iron and nickel and some small amounts of manganese also. Okay, so iron and nickel are the main constituents of the invar steel. Okay, and when we generally say steel, what we are referring to is carbon steel, because carbon steel is the one that will account for major production of the steel. Other steels, right, we'll give them with a particular name, like we'll call it as invar, etc. So when we generally say steel, means it is referring to what? Carbon steel. So carbon steel contains carbon along with iron. So the one that contains a non-metal as a constituent, right, is basically what? Steel. The correct answer for this is option B. Next we have another question from 2012. The catalytic activity of the transition metals and their compounds is ascribed mainly to. So means it is attributed. It is corresponding mainly because of what? So if you look at the transition metals or their compounds, right, generally what we will be having is we will be having the unfilled d orbitals. The unfilled d orbitals, right, will help these elements in forming some sort of a chemical interaction. So we don't call it as a chemical bond as such, we will call it as what, chemical interaction with the reactant molecules. So the reactant molecules will be able to come and approach the catalyst surface. So we have a catalyst surface, the reactant molecules will be able to come and approach. Now once the reaction is over, the product will be leaving out of the surface. So the unfilled d orbitals existence, right, is what will help in having this chemical interaction. So the atoms of catalyst on surface and the reactant molecules, right, they will be reactant molecules or atoms, they will be having what, the chemical interactions, because of which we will see that the catalyst will be specific in terms of activity, because not every catalyst can be used in each and every reaction. It will be very specific because there will be some kind of a chemical interaction, and this is possible because of what, the unfilled d orbitals. So most of these transition metals, like we see iron, platinum, palladium, nickel, all of them are generally used as what, common catalysts in various processes. Not only the elements as such, but their compounds also, like V2O5, right, is used as a catalyst in the contact process for the manufacture of sulfuric acid. So like that we have the transition metals as well as the compounds of them will be used as the catalyst. So correct answer for this is what, option B, because of their unfilled d orbitals. So it is not because of the magnetic behavior, it is not because of their ability to adapt and have variable oxidation state, because generally the p block elements also can have what, variable oxidation states. It is not only because of that, the chemical activity, it's also not because of chemical activity, because if you look at the reactivity as such, right, the first group and second group metals will be more reactive. Okay, so the correct answer for this is option B. Next we have a question on the oxidation state, especially the lanthanides and actinides, right. So the oxidation state questions also we have to be careful. Which of the following exhibits only +3 oxidation state? So if you look at these elements that are given to us, right, so what are these elements that are given to us? Uranium, thorium, okay, actinium and protactinium. So if you look at these elements, thorium, protactinium and uranium, these are all what, the actinoids. So we have the 5F series, all these are what, 5F, and these elements, right, uranium or thorium or protactinium, the 5F series, in fact 4F series also, they will be having what, variable oxidation states. Like uranium can exhibit +3, +4, +5 and +6. Thorium can exhibit +3 and +4. Protactinium can exhibit +3, +4, +5. So we'll see that +3 will be what, little bit more common among these 5F series elements. So what do we see is except for actinium, so actinium will be only showing +3 oxidation state, except for the actinium, because it will be having what, 1, 2, 3. So the common oxidation state of the actinium is what, +3. Other than that, if you see uranium or thorium or protactinium, right, they can have variable oxidation states. So the correct answer for this is actinium. Next we have the trend question. So in the D block, right, these trend based questions are one of the common type of questions. So we have a question that has come in the mains paper 2012. Which one of the following does not correctly represent, means we have to look for the wrong, which one of them does not correctly represent the order. So they are giving us some properties and we have to tell which of these orders is actually incorrect. So we'll just go one by one. So let's look at option A. This is like 4 questions given into one question itself, because we have to verify each of them. The increasing number of oxidation states, what is it? Titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. So generally what do we observe is if you go in any 3D series, right, we'll see that the number of oxidation states will keep on increasing. Like we can see titanium, vanadium and chromium, manganese, we'll see the number of oxidation state they can exhibit will be increasing up to we reach the highest value. Okay, and then we will see it will again be decreasing. So once we come to manganese, it will be decreasing again. So the correct order is what? Titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese. After manganese, it will be decreasing again. So this is correct. So this order is basically correct. We are looking for the wrong order. So we are looking for the wrong order. Next, the second is what? Option B is talking about the increasing magnetic moment. See, titanium. What is titanium? Normal titanium arrangement is what? It will be 3d2 4s2. Means titanium 3 plus means what? It is 3d1. Then vanadium will come after titanium. So it will be 3d2. And chromium, it will be 3d3 because chromium comes after vanadium. Then manganese. Manganese comes after chromium. It is what? 3d4. What do we see is here the number of unpaired electrons is 1. Here the number of unpaired electrons is 2. Here the number of unpaired electrons is 3. Here the number of unpaired electrons is 4. Remember, what is the magnetic moment formula? Root of n into n plus 2 Bohr magneton, right? When the number of unpaired electrons is more, the magnetic moment also will be more. So we see that number of unpaired electrons is keep on increasing, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 means what? The magnetic moment also will keep increasing. So this is also correct. And we are looking for what? We are looking for the wrong order. So this is also correct. So we are not going to choose this. Next, let us look at the option C. Option C is talking about the increasing melting points. Now, while we talk about some anomalous trends, right? The melting point is one such anomalous trend. We will not see a very clear order with regard to the melting points. So let us just look at what does this melting point depend upon. See, the transition metals, right? In comparison to the alkali metals or alkaline earth metals, these will be held together strongly by metallic bonds, and metallic bond strength will depend upon the number of electrons that can actually come out of the metals. Okay, so this is one factor. Second factor is size. So more number of electrons can come out of the metal means the metallic bond strength will be what? More. So when more number of electrons can come out, the metallic bond strength will be what? Higher. When the size is less, again in that case also the metallic bond strength will be what? Higher. So size of the atom should be less and more number of electrons should be emitted from these metal atoms. So if you look at the transition metals in comparison to the alkali metals or alkaline earth metals, right? Transition metal atoms are small in size because we will move from left to right means size is going to be what? Decreasing. In any period we will move from left to right means size will be decreasing. And the other thing is the transition metals, they will have more number of these unpaired electrons which can be coming out of the metal atoms. The strength of the metallic bonding will depend upon the number of unpaired electrons in the outermost shell. So when we have more number of unpaired electrons means the metallic bonding is stronger, and hence we will see that the melting points are going to be what? Higher. So whenever the metallic bonding is stronger, the melting point will be what? Higher. So if you look at it, right, what we observe is, so when you move from scandium, so scandium to titanium to vanadium to chromium to manganese, what do we observe is, here we can see number of unpaired electrons is what? 3. Here the number of unpaired electrons is 6. Here the number of unpaired electrons is what? 5. Here the number of unpaired electrons is 4. So what do we see is that initially up to the chromium, the number of unpaired electrons are what? Increasing, and manganese, the number of unpaired electrons is decreasing. So what we see is that this is actually the melting point. Okay, so if you see the trend, right, what do we observe here? Up to chromium it is increasing, the melting point will be increasing. I mean, we are not showing scandium and titanium values, but the melting point values will be increasing up to chromium, and manganese it will be decreasing. And then there will be an exception in case of iron again. Why? Because iron will have 4 unpaired electrons, but I mean the melting point is not just because of the strength of, I mean, the metallic bonding, the way we are visualizing it, it also depends upon the arrangement of these atoms, etc. But we are not getting into that much of detail. That is the reason why we have certain anomalies. But the broad rule we can remember is what, that up to chromium it will be increasing and then it will be decreasing. So here we are saying in option C, what are we saying? We are basically saying that it will keep on increasing. So titanium less than vanadium, less than chromium, less than manganese. Means what? This is not the correct order. Manganese, we can see it is clearly having a lesser value. So the one that is the wrong order is what? Option C. So option C is in fact the wrong order. So we are looking for what is the wrong order in the given 4 options, and A and B are fine. The C is what? It's a wrong order. Now we can even look at the option D. So what is the option D here? So if you look at option D is talking about the increasing second ionization enthalpy. See, second ionization enthalpy means what? The energy required to remove the second ionization enthalpy means the energy required to remove the second electron from the atom. So after removing first electron, right, so we will be forming the respective univalent ion or monovalent ion. So from that we should be removing one more electron. That energy is what we call as the second ionization enthalpy. So if you look at these elements, right, what are the elements given to us? Titanium, vanadium, manganese and chromium. So generally if you look at any period, so whether it is a D or any D series or any period we observe, what is the normal expected trend? The normal expected trend is when we move from left to right. When we move from left to right, the ionization energy values will be what? They will be keep on increasing. When we move from left to right means the ionization energy values will keep on increase, which means what we expect is so this is the 3D series, right? Scandium, titanium, vanadium, manganese, chromium. This is the series. Okay. Chromium, manganese. Okay. Then iron comes, then cobalt, then nickel, copper, zinc. Okay, we don't need to bother about the others. So this is what we are looking at. So what is the expected trend when we say that the ionization enthalpy or ionization energy will be increasing? Means what is the trend? We expect that titanium less than vanadium, less than chromium, less than manganese. This is the trend that we expect. But what happens is if you look at chromium, what is the chromium normal arrangement? It is 3d5 4s1. After removing one electron, chromium plus arrangement will be what? 3d5. Now this is what? Half filled D structure. So half filled D structure will be highly stable structure. So if you are trying to remove one more electron and make it as chromium 2 plus, we are disturbing the 3d5, the stable half filled D structure we are disturbing. So this is going to be having a higher energy requirement. So generally what we expect is this is the order: titanium less than vanadium, less than chromium, less than manganese. But because we are to disturb the 3d5 structure and remove the electron, the chromium will be having a higher value than manganese itself. So the correct order will be what? Titanium less than vanadium, less than manganese, less than chromium. This is happening because of what? In case of the second, we are talking about the second ionization enthalpy. Means after forming the first ion, we have to remove the second electron. So means in chromium case we will be disturbing the 3d5 structure. That is the reason why chromium will have a higher second ionization enthalpy than the manganese itself. Clear? So this also is correct. So the only order that is incorrect is option C, and that's what we are choosing as the answer for this. Next we have a question that has come in again 2012. 4 successive members of the first series of the transition metals, means what? The 3D series, are given below. For which of them the standard potential, means they are talking about the standard reduction potential E0 values, has a positive side. Remember, among the D block elements, right, if you look at it, copper. So this is also something that you will be seeing in the electrochemistry chapter. Copper will have a positive. So in the electrode potential series, right, hydrogen electrode will take as a reference. So hydrogen electrode, the E0 value is what? 0. Metals will be negative, like alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, and some D block, they will be having negative. Non-metals will have what? Positive. Okay, but copper also will have what? Positive. That is why copper cannot displace hydrogen. Copper will not be able to displace hydrogen from its compounds, whereas the other metals like sodium or magnesium, they can displace hydrogen from its compounds. So the one that will have a positive electrode potential or standard potential will be what? It is the copper. So the correct answer for this is option C. Next we have a question that has come in the 2011. For the 4 successive transition elements, chromium, manganese, iron and cobalt, the stability of the +2 oxidation state will be in which of the following order? So what they are talking about? They are talking about the stability of the +2 oxidation state. Now stability of +2 oxidation state means essentially what we are looking at, how stable the chromium 2+ is, how stable the Mn 2+ is, how stable the Fe 2+ is, and how stable the cobalt 2+ is. See, any of these ions, right, the stability can also be explained based on generally we'll have the difference will come in terms of what? The 3D arrangement. The difference is going to be coming in the 3D arrangement of electrons. So because all these are what? 3D series elements. These are all what? 3D series elements. When in these ions we have the unpaired electrons, then the unpaired electrons, because there will be no repulsions between them. If you pair them only, then only there will be repulsions. If they are having unpaired electrons, means generally those kind of oxidation states will be what? More stable. If you have paired electrons, means then it will be what? Becoming less stable because of the repulsions. So if you look at it, right, the +2 state, it will become more and more stable in the first half. Why? First half means we are going to increase and reach up to maximum unpaired electrons. So we will reach up to maximum unpaired electrons, and after that what is going to happen? The pairing of electrons will begin in the 3D level. So when the pairing begins, right, because of the repulsion, what is going to happen? The stability will be decreasing. So first half of that what we see is increase in the unpaired electrons, so stability will be increasing. Second half, what is going to happen? Second half, since we start pairing them, the stability will have to be decreasing. Okay, so if you look at these ions, right, so chromium 2+, it will be having the structure is what? 3D4, and manganese 2+, it will be having a 3D5. Iron 2+, it will be having a 3D6. So then cobalt 2+, it will be having a 3D7, because they are all chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt. That is the order of the elements: 3D4, 3D5, 3D6 and 3D7. So what do we expect? We expect that the chromium will be less stable than manganese, because up to manganese we are reaching the highest number of unpaired electrons. Here the number of unpaired electrons is 4, here it is 5. 3D6 means we will pair one electron, so the unpaired electrons will be 4 only. In this case 3D7 means 2 of the d orbitals are paired, so the number of unpaired electrons is 3. So if we check it, right, what is cobalt 2+ means we have 7 electrons, right? So we will fill first 1 electron in each of the orbitals, then we will pair. So remaining unpaired electrons only 3. In case of iron 2+, it is 4. So what do we expect? We expect that the manganese will be more than iron, it will be more than cobalt. So chromium is less than manganese, and manganese will be more than iron and cobalt. So now the question is, what about the comparison between the chromium and iron? Because chromium is having 4 unpaired electrons, iron is also having 4 unpaired electrons. Now in which case the nuclear power is more? The nuclear power is more in case of iron. The nuclear power is more in case of the iron. So if the nuclear power is more, then that will be able to hold these electrons more tightly. So that means that particular oxidation state will be more stable. So the one that will explain the stability order will be what? Chromium will be less stable than iron, but chromium will be more stable than cobalt, because cobalt is having number of unpaired electrons 3. So there will be 2 electron pair repulsions. In case of iron, there will be 1 electron pair repulsion. Then iron of course will be less than manganese. So what is the correct order? Manganese is more than iron, which will be more than chromium, which will be more than cobalt. So the option is A. So stability we are explaining based on the repulsions between the paired electrons. So up to half, which is manganese, half of the 3D series, we see that we are not pairing electrons, so stability will be increasing. And when we start pairing the electrons, right, that is when the stability will decrease. And when we have a tie, the number of unpaired electrons same, then how do you resolve the tie? We will resolve the tie by looking at the nuclear power. Clear? So the correct answer for this is option A. Now this is about the part 3 video, and we will see in the part 4.